Hello traders, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to run through the Engulfing EA that I have developed for the MT4 trading platform. It's completely free to download and use. You can find the link in the description below. So as I said, this is an automated trading system for the MT4 MetaTrader 4 platform, which I have here. Okay, this is just a test, a rough test that I ran just now. We go to the settings. So this is a strategy tester window in MT4. Okay, I've got the Engulfing EA selected there. In a nutshell, this EA combines moving averages with the engulfing candlestick pattern. Okay, this can be good to capture big trends such as this one. You can see here on the chart, I took an entry here on this engulfing pattern. I'll just zoom in for you. Okay, we can see the entry was here. Okay, the price was below these moving averages that were crossed over. You had the slow moving average below the longer term moving average, which suggests a downtrend, which is clear. We were in a downtrend here. Okay, then you have this large engulfing bar, which was our entry, which is technically a breakout of this support area here. So we had the breakout, and then we can enter after this engulfing bar in line with the trend. And if we zoom out, you can see we timed a perfect entry into this trend with a good trade there for probably over 200 or so pips. Let's have a look. Taking that entry, almost 300 pips. So there's good potential with this EA. It's completely free, as I said. It can send signals, it can trade automatically for you. One thing I would do is I would use it in a semi-automated fashion. I'd first check to establish the trend direction and then just take the engulfing bars that are in line with the overall trend. So bearish engulfing bars in a downtrend or bullish engulfing bars in an uptrend. And I'd avoid ranging choppy markets. Okay, so this can be great to capture big moves in line with the overall trend. I will say as well, if you're into manual trading, there would have been an earlier entry possibly on this breakout here. You can see this is quite a significant support level, tested multiple times. Actually had resistance up here, double top, arguably a triple top candlestick formation as well here. So this could have been a sign on a breakout. Had a wedge pattern with the market making these lower highs here. So we could have traded this breakout if we were trading manually. Got 3 inside down candlestick pattern there and there. Okay, in fact, you do even have an engulfing bar up here. However, the settings probably would have prevented this trade from being taken, which I'm going to get into now. But if you're trading manually or even using the EA, we could have perhaps got in a bit earlier there. Nonetheless, some may argue this is a safer entry, just waiting for the trend to sort of break out, so you avoid entering on a fake out, because there will be instances where the trend won't continue. Price will just move back up in the opposite direction. So by waiting for the breakout, trend to establish, and then this pullback area here would have been a good time perhaps to enter regardless. Of course, we've got this level of resistance building up here. Again, another wedge or ascending triangle pattern here as well. Okay, there's another entry there. Okay, I'm just pointing this out. Again, you've got your triangle pattern here, your wedge and your breakout to the downside. This is an NFP, non-farms payroll, first Friday of the month candle, so we could use the momentum from that to hop in on the trend here. Okay, but let's get into the EA then, and the settings. So if we just reset that, so expert name, you can just basically choose the name you want for the trades, the comments of the trades that the EA will take. Okay, pop-up alerts, if you set this to true, there will be a pop-up window when there's a signal. So for example, if you have the EA running on 10 different charts, different currency pairs, time frames, this can be a great way to simultaneously track multiple charts without needing to manually scour through them. You can have an alert, for example, buy signal on the euro dollar 1 hour chart, or there may be a sell signal on the pound dollar 4 hour chart, just depends on what you're watching. Email alerts will send you signals via email. SMS alerts will send you signals via SMS. This is useful if you're away from your platform and you just want to be notified when there is a setup or a potential signal, and then you can act accordingly from there, perhaps to take the trade manually yourself or to manage an existing position. Okay, use trading. If you set use trading to true, the EA will actually place the trade for you and manage it. Okay, you can combine use trading with the alerts, so you can have, for example, email alerts set to true with use trading set to true, and then when there's a trade, you get an email, perhaps a notification on your phone, and you can just fire up your chart, check the trade, and modify it accordingly. From there, days filters. This is self-explanatory. This is the days of the week that the EA can trade. Okay, Monday through to Sunday. Hour start, hour end. So you can just basically choose. This is based on UTC time, the start and the end hour. If you want to trade a particular session, perhaps you want lots of momentum and you want to trade the New York and London session overlap. Or if you're just using quieter trading strategy, you might want to trade a euro dollar, for example, during the Asian session. It's up to you, fully customizable. Magic number, so this is the order ID that's sent along with the trade. This is useful if you're running other expert advisors on the same account and you don't want them to clash with each other. Okay. Maximum spread, maximum slippage. The EA will avoid taking trades if the spread or slippage is greater than these values, which is in pips. Open orders limit. So set to 1 by default. This will allow a maximum of 1 open buy and or 1 open sell trade at any time. This is just to prevent duplicate entries being taken. Lot size. This is the position size that the EA will use if you have use trading set to true. Keep in mind that the EA will use this lot size if you have user is set to false. If you have user is set to true, it will calculate the lot size for you using the risk percent that you have set here in the risk percent field. There are instructions included with this free EA that explain everything in more detail. Stop loss and take profit. They're the stop loss and take profit values which are in pips. I'm not a fan of fixed levels. However, perhaps if you're not going to be at your chart, you might just want to do a rough 50 pip stop loss, depending on your time frame, what you're using. Obviously, longer term chart time frames, you might want to use a wider stop loss. And you can just adjust it after if you get an alert there's been a trade and you just want something there until you get a chance to modify it. And take profit the same. I don't really like to use a fixed take profit level. In fact, I'd probably be tempted to put that on 0 or just something really high like 500. We go to the chart. Reason being is, let's just say this trade we took here. Okay, say you had a fixed 50 pip stop loss every time, and stop loss would be up here in this instance. Yeah, 50 pips from entry. For me, I'll be looking to place my stop loss on the recent high, so I could easily half that, 25 pips just above here. Okay, so I would personally use my manual initiative and adjust the stop loss accordingly, but you can, as I said, have a rough stop if you're not going to be around to place the trade yourself and you want the EA to do it for you. And then as the price falls down in our direction, I'd be moving the stop loss above the highs, above the highs, above the highs, above the highs, and just locking in above the high, above the high, above the high, above the high, and just locking in as much of the trade as possible on the way down. Okay, there is a break-even trailing stop in the EA settings as well, so you can do that, although you might manually want to put them on the recent high or recent low in an uptrend. Going back to the take profit, again, I don't want to use a rigid take profit. Let's just say we had take profit of 100 pips. Sounds good in theory, but what we took that trade, we would have exited here, which isn't terrible. However, when you look at this trade going almost 300 pips, we leave way too much on the table, okay? So instead, I'd prefer personally to use a trailing stop and a break even. Myself, you can close part of the position on the way down as well if you want, just to bank some pips, but personally, I wouldn't want to exit too prematurely around here. That being said, if you do, you can, of course, re-enter, whether that's manually. You know, you can see there's a level of support there that's breached and then becomes resistance. Nice inverted hammer candlestick pattern there as well for the trend continuation. But the more times you re-enter, the higher your chances are of getting the trade wrong or ending up, selling at the low or buying at the high as well. So that's why I personally don't rely on fixed stop loss and take profit levels. I just rather put the stop loss at a recent high or recent low, and for the take profit, I will see what the market can give me, but prefer to use a break even and trailing stop in that instance. Okay, so where were we? Stop loss, take profit. Close opposite signal. If you have close opposite signal set to true, the EA will close an open trade, an open buy trade if there's a sell signal, or open sell trade if there's a buy signal. Break even. Okay, you can have this set to true or false. This is the break even point, which is in pips. So for example, you set that to 50. When the price reaches 50 pips profit, the EA will move the stop loss to break even. This is good to prevent a winning trade from turning into a losing one, which is very frustrating and something you certainly don't want to do. Okay, use trail. So this is the trailing stop. If you set this to true, when this trailing gap is reached in pips, let's just say 25 pips, every 25 pips, the stop loss will be moved 25 pips in your favor. Close percent. If you want to close a percentage of the order once the break even and trailing gap point is reached, you can. For example, you might want to close 20% each time just to bank some pips, as I said. And the minimum lot close, this will be, the EA will stop closing part of the position once you only have this amount of lots remaining. For example, if there's only 0.5 lots in the position, it won't close anymore of the trade. As I said, instructions are included which explain these settings in more detail for you. Okay, so this is the nitty-gritty of the EA. The trading criteria, you've got an option of the moving average and a moving average crossover. Okay, so the moving average, if you set to true, price will have to be above the SMA for a buy trade or below the SMA simple moving average for a sell trade. You can adjust the periods in there, so 35, 50, 200, just whatever you fancy, or default 14. Crossovers, basically this, if you set that to true, okay, the fast SMA, fast simple moving average, would have to be above the slow moving average for a buy trade or below the slow moving average for a sell trade. So for example, you might want to do a short term 14 MA and a longer term 35 MA, or perhaps you want to do the golden cross and death cross. So the 50 moving average and 200 moving average. It's called a golden cross when the 50 crosses above the 200 is a strong bullish signal. And when 50 crosses below the 200 is known as a death cross, which is a strong bearish signal. Okay, and you can combine these. So you might want to have, let's just say you've got should we go 14 as a slow and 35 as a, 14 as a fast and 35 as a slow, and then you want to just use a 200 MA. Price would have to be cross it. The moving averages in this instance would have to cross above or below the SMA, which is just a longer term filter as well. So you can have them both set to true if you like. Okay, and then this is the engulfing bar. If you set this to true, there has to be an engulfing bar candlestick pattern for the entry, and you've got the minimum bar size, which is again in pips. So if it's set to 10, the engulfing bar would have to be at least 10 pips. You can have it 20 pips, just depends on your preferences. Okay, if we just go in the entry that we took, the EA took here. So as we can see, this engulfing bar, so you had your bullish bar here, okay, then you had the bearish engulfing bar. So an engulfing bar because it engulfs completely the previous bar, and it was almost 30 pips that bar, so it reached our minimum bar size. Okay, so that's the entry criteria. It can be great for telling you when there's been an engulf. Perhaps you're watching a downtrend and you want to have an alert when there's an engulfing bar, a big engulfing bar, and then you can act accordingly. You can also, what we can do is optimize the EA. Okay, there are some advantages and disadvantages to this. So optimization is basically when you combine loads of the EA settings just to see what different results they produce. So to do that, you will just reset the settings. So you just want use trading set to true. We don't need alerts because we're only back testing in the MT4 strategy tester here. We'll leave all day set to true and all trading hours. And what we'll do is we'll test different variations of settings. So to test the setting, you click the box there and you enter the values you want to test. So this is where you start. So we'll start at 25 pips. We'll go up in 25 pip increments and we'll stop at 50. I think is enough for the 1 hour chart time frame. So this will test a stop loss of 25 pips and 50 pips because we start at 25, we go in 25 increments and we stop at 50. Take profit, we'll do 0 in 100 steps to stop at 500. So this will test think we'll stop at 300 there. So this will test stop loss, take profit of 0, 100, 200, and 300. Because we're starting at 0, we're going up in 100 increments, and we're stopping at 300. Okay, close opposite signal, we can test true or false. Use break even, true or false. Break even point, let's start 25 pips, go up in 25 pip increments, and stop at, let's say, 50. Trailing stop, true or false. Trailing gap, 25, 50 again. Close percent, we can close, let's say, for the close percent, let's do, you can close 25, 25 up to 75. We'll start 0 actually for that. Minimum lot to close. Well, if we set it to trade, let's just say 1 lot. Minimum lot to close, let's go 0, 0.25, and we'll stop at 1.25, which wouldn't close any other position. Optimize, let's optimize these settings. True or false for the moving average, true or false for crossover. Simple moving average, let's go 7, 7. Should we stop? I think 35 is probably fair for that. And for the fast, go again 7, 7, 35. For the slow, what should we do? Let's go 35, 35. 7 is probably enough now. Let me push it a bit longer, why not? Okay. And the minimum bar size for the, we're doing engulfing bar true or false, the minimum bar size, let's go 10, 10, 30. Right, so all of those things we've checked there, when we run the optimization, the strategy tester will combine all of these different settings and show us the results. Under this optimization tab here, you can select if you want to filter results by any of these settings. Okay, I leave them all unchecked usually because I just want to see good and bad results, so I know what works and what doesn't. And the testing tab here, got the genetic algorithm thing. If you have this selected, the EA will just discard combinations of settings that the strategy tester will discard combination of settings that it doesn't feel will produce good results, which just makes testing a lot faster, again, depending on your computer that you're using and the amount of settings that you are optimizing. But if you want to check it, it will do every possible combination, which can take a long time. Okay. So then what we need to do is we can select the symbol we want to trade. So I've just selected the euro dollar here. For the model, we can do open prices only because the EA, it does use open prices for its calculations. However, that's quite a rough, crude way of testing. You can always switch to every tick if you want to fine tune your settings, which is important when it comes to things like stop loss and take profit, trailing stop, which can obviously be impacted by intrabar prices, whereas the open prices would not be as accurate. But as a rough way of testing, just to filter down some initial settings. So for the date, we can just choose recent, past 5 to 6 months. You can choose as long or as little as you want there. Generally speaking, the more historical data that you test over, the more reliable the results can be. But there's always going to be limitations. Curve fitting over optimization, which I'm going to explain to you now. So period, this is the chart time frame. 1 hour, we're going to choose. I always prefer the higher chart time frames just because I find the signals tend to be more reliable. I much prefer just to capture a big trend like this one. Okay, and get a trade in on a big trend like this rather than trying to scalp a few pips here and there. Okay, but each to their own. Spread, we can use the current market spread. If it's the weekend, just bear in mind that that might be a high spread, so you can just adjust it manually in that case. So we check optimization, hit start, and now the strategy tester will just run through all those various settings that we chose and put the results here in the optimization results tab. So you can see all the various different values, what results were produced using them. Okay, you can see that's quite quick, that's complete. So you can sort the results then by profit, number of trades, the profit factor, expected payoff for the drawdown in monetary or percentage value. So just sort by profit and go to the top. You can see this is the top performing settings. If you double click, what that will do is we'll load those particular settings. See the stop loss, take profit, etc. So we'll take those particular settings from that optimization and load them automatically into the EA for you. And you can click save if you want to save those. Perhaps you might call it Eurodollar 1 hour set file, or so you can load it at a later date, either on your chart or in the back tester again, and you can just load it from there. Okay, so what we'll do now, optimizations unchecked, so we'll click start and we'll just run an individual test using those settings, and you can see there, that's the graph, looks great. Maybe onto a winner here. However, what we need to be wary of is we've curve fitted for that particular data. Curve fitting or over optimization basically means we've used as many different set combinations of settings as possible to find something that fits within the data set that we're using. And the thing about this is you don't necessarily get a reliable trading strategy. You just sort of fit the settings to the noise, which over historical data is easy. Of course, you can just you'll always more likely than not be able to find good settings for a particular data set, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there'll be good settings moving forward, because they're only for the, in this instance, the last 6 or so months. So what will happen if we add it? Let's just add another year or so, okay, onto the testing and run with the exact same settings that gave us this graph, okay, and see what happens. Not so good, right? And why is that? That's because probably around here, well, here, exactly here, exactly when it started going up, okay, is when we optimized from. So we optimized this data here, which is why the graph looks good from there on in. But just to prove the point about over optimization and curve fitting, before it didn't look great at all, because we had only optimized for this particular data set. So that tells me that those settings are not good. I wouldn't use them. Personally, I'd much prefer to use my initiative and have some manual intervention and actually look at the chart and say, okay, as we marked out earlier, support, resistance, lower highs, breakouts, and just trade that way and use the EA as a tool to assist with telling me when there's a trend, perhaps the moving average crossover aspect or the engulfing bar as an entry point. Okay, so it can be useful for that. I wouldn't just use a random combination of settings and hope it produces good results. So what some may argue is, well, why don't you just optimize that data? So let's do that. Let's run an optimization, add on an extra year, and just see what difference, if any, it makes. The thing about this is how far do you go back? You know, in my opinion, you could optimize, 10 years of data, 20 years of data, and get good results, but you're just doing the same thing. You're curve fitting or over optimizing for the data set that you are using, okay, without necessarily then being good settings. It's just random noise, throwing what at the wall and hoping some of it sticks. Okay, so what some developers do, they'll do this, they're making EA look fantastic over backtesting, when in reality it's just not going to perform. Don't get me wrong, you will come across the occasional one which it does find genuinely good settings based on logic, but I'd want to verify them first. And as always, if you're looking for an expert advisor, check for real live verified results, backtest ideally with real tick data, 99% modeling quality, accounting for commission spreads, slippage, things like this. Okay, so we've just run that optimization over a longer term period. We'll go to the results. We can filter again by profit. So yeah, we've got some decent results coming in. Okay, quite a few, as you can see there. We'll just go for the top most profitable one. Might not necessarily be the best, but we'll click it and we'll run it. Okay, and it looks good. It looks all right. You'd be happy with that, wouldn't you? But it would not perform like that moving forward, in my opinion. Okay, because we've just curve fitted for that particular data set. If we add on another year, let's add on another 2 years, okay? Go back another 2 years and run the same settings. We can probably tell exactly where our optimization started. Was it around here somewhere? Not far off. It basically started optimization when the graph started going up, whereas before that, not so great, because again, we had over optimized. We can do the same. We can optimize back these extra few years and back again, but we're just going to run into the same thing of just curve fit in the data. So What I'm trying to say is use this EA as a tool to help you spot potential trades and opportunities, but try and use the initiative for actually taking an entry. Okay, whether you just want the EA to filter the trend direction or you just want an alert for an engulfing bar, there's many different ways you can use it. And also the link in the description you will find on my website. I have an EA that actually combines the majority of the indicators in the MT4 platform along with price action analysis and all the other money management settings, alerts, manual trading, automated trading, semi-automated trading, everything else within the EA into one. Okay, so you can combine, you can add the MACD, the stochastics, envelopes, CCI, RSI, ADX, all the other indicators, and combine them to create your own unique strategy. You'll just get the alerts that matter to you. Hopefully you found something useful in this video that you can implement within your trading strategy. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.